Hey, Louis, thanks so much for joining me today to talk about Vista-Suite Enterprise and how it's made an impact on Stratex. I want you to tell us real quick who you are, tell us about Stratex, overview, who you serve, what you do, everything in a nutshell.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I'm Louis Carter. I am the founder and managing director of Stratex Aero Limited. We are a UK company founded in 2023. Our core competencies are parts supply and repair management. The majority of the clients we serve are airlines, MROs, suppliers, and leasing companies. If you would like to get in contact with us, you can email us at takeoff, just literally like the plane, takeoff at stratex.aero, and our website is www.stratex.aero.
What system were you using before? What were some of the biggest frustrations and efficiencies with that setup?
Sure. We're 2.5 years old now, but when I founded the company in 2023, it was very much bootstrap, if you will. I just needed a software to very simply develop documents like a purchase order, a quote. I just need something to formalize transactions. So I had this incredibly inexpensive thing that made a document. Wasn't great, it wasn't perfect. Then we grew and we got all real, and it was kind of like pulling hair out and putting fires out amongst the document generator online and spreadsheets and files and things. It was like, okay, I try to ensure that we pride ourselves with our reputation. So, being a company doing things the right way with the utmost quality. Having been in the industry a little over 14 years, there was a software I was very familiar with, having used it majority of my career. But for me, it didn't feel the right product to go with Stratex. I'm trying to, sort of grow a company that is trying to be different, innovative, forward thinking, and essentially modernized. And so I was kind of pulling my hair out, and I phoned a good friend of mine and I said, I went down a path with this option. It's not going to work out. What do you recommend? And he said, you know what? I think you need to try Vista-Suite. I think it's going to be right for you. And, the business development is led by Neil Prodger. I was like, oh, I know Neil. We would meet up at a local kind of cafe. And, I just felt a really kind of comforting, friendly approach from Neil to say, look, this is what Vista-Suite is, this is what it does, etc. I thought, you know what, why not? Let's give it a try. I sort of put my trust into Neil. So again, big thanks to Neil for making me feel initially very, welcomed. And I want to lead on to say, there's one thing of, say, a salesperson saying, this is what we offer, this is what we do, this is what it does, is one thing, selling that service, but initiating that service was just phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's really good that you had that kind of experience early on, and then you don't know what to expect. Okay, now you're getting into this thing. Now, working with the Ambry Hill team when it comes to the onboarding, implementation, and actually getting things started, how long did it take for you to start seeing that your expectations were being met and you're seeing results and kind of benefits from this decision you made to go with Vista-Suite?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I really, really admire the product because the software itself has been really well thought out. So for how my brain works of buying, selling, repairing, shipping, receiving parts, etc., just straight out the box, it just all made sense to me. It just was just so straight to the point. So having first sort of access to it and seeing it and feeling it, I was like, I think I'm going to grasp this quite quick. Now, to talk about the implementation service, the team, etc., it was just incredible. It was phenomenal. You've got Janine and Stephen They are so patient. The implementation, it felt, quite thorough in terms of the amount of time that was dedicated, but it flew by. The other thing I'll say is the time and effort from everyone within the team to take the out of the box ready product, but then adjust it ever so slightly with the nuances of our name, our information, and just things we need to get running and going. I mean, that's half the battle. So you've got kind of the product being made for us, which was cool, perfect. And then it was the implementation and training of this is what it is. Let's do each process step by step, perfect. And then it's kind of the final chapter, if you will, of making the fine tuning absolutely ready for us, being properly handheld in the process to go, how do you want this? How do you want that? And me being quite a consistent thinker, question asker, thinking outside the box. I'm like, what about this? What about this? Can we do this? Can we do that? And the team are just so positive and receptive of going, yeah, sure, we can do this. Click, click, adjust, done. Perfect, cool. And then honestly, it's the entire process. So even though I would say I was a fast learner, the team were a fast learner, it's the follow-up to say, hey, is everything okay? Can we help? Do you need more training? And it's like, do you know what, actually, we're grasping it really quickly, but we could probably do with a refresher on this type of transaction and that transaction. But it speaks volumes to the product itself. It's, it's a web-based tool, cloud server backed and all that stuff. But the UI itself, it's just so, it speaks for itself. It just makes sense. It's just click, click, next step, next process, etc. And don't get me wrong. There was a couple of moments where we were like, "Uh-oh, what do we do here?" But then that then relates to your support and your development teams.
So, have you noticed an improvement in accuracy, speed, collaboration across departments? Those supporting mechanisms to help with customer responsiveness, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a large majority of the requests we receive are ANG critical part supply. So, having Vista-Suite being a very fast, quick, software allows us to give everything they need in kind of a one-stop solution. So, when we're offering a part for sale, we're spending a very, very small amount of time processing the quote, but giving all the right necessary documentation all the way through to the final step of emailing it all in one go. A very large portion of what we do at Stratex is component repair management. And the software allows us to be really, really nimble and fast of processing orders, staying on top of orders, receiving and shipping. So again, it goes back to kind of what I was saying is how the software has been so well thought out of the beginning to the final step of the process or the life cycle of handling an aircraft part. So I speak to the entire step, end-to-end process. We're receiving a part into inventory with all the, fields of information, internal notes, external notes, clauses, documents, all customized to how I want it, at least, with different colored pins, different colored notes. It's so customizable. And it's kind of, the software is always thinking almost like one step ahead. So if I've got a sales order and a repair order linked, and I've received a part into inventory, I've allocated it to that repair order. Well, when it comes back on that repair order, the sales order already knows, well, this is the one you want to ship. Yes, I do. So then you go to the shipping module and invoice and close. So the whole thing, it seamlessly links so well and just makes sense. The whole process is being meticulously, developed to handle that whole process from start to finish.
Yeah. So it sounds like exactly that, from start to finish. And it sounds like, too, you're receiving some measurable results here, some time saved, fewer errors, faster processes. What about some things you're hearing from your team or maybe even from customers that are seeing, oh, you must be using something new here?
And a testament to the product is, the training is incredibly limited because it's so user friendly. It just makes sense. If you have prior experience of dealing with, other ERPs or other, systems for processing aircraft parts, you can just jump straight in, and the time I have to spend on saying, oh, this is how you do this and this is quite minimal. So it allows me to focus on other things. And then in terms of, some of the documents, the system generates for us, even down to, for example, like, it sounds simple, but a box label for our 3PL warehouse to put on the part to identify it. Again, as long as we're putting in the right information and data, the software is putting out, a relatively simple document, but again, it's so efficient. So, when we're receiving a part in, creates a part label, which for our 3PL, they don't have to do anything because we're giving that to them. And it's just so clear, exactly a label. They just go straight on the box of what is it? What does it associate to? And then speaking with clients and suppliers, they're sort of going, oh, that looks good. What's that? And because obviously I'm just so positive about the product, I almost come across as if I'm selling the product to friends and connections in the industry. And I just reference, not only is it so easy to use, but I really have to give enormous credit to the support team, because I was a little bit cautious, nervous of how would the support work in real life, with the company being, mainly based in Minnesota. And I know you've got people kind of dotted around the world, but, for example, I had one just the other day, and it was just no problem, Louis, click, refresh, it's done. So that is such an enormous part of your services. And that's what we need at the speed of aviation, is we need fast response like that.
And so how has the system and even the support, it sounds like, changed your confidence in overall decision making and visibility into your overall operation from end to end?
Yeah, I think, in business, a software service or an ERP can potentially maybe be a subconscious drain on a user, because you think, I want to do that, but I've got to process it and stuff like this. For me, it's the opposite. It's a subconscious. So it's like, I can think about the commercial transaction I want to do, and it's just like, okay, now it's time to process. Click, and it's done.
And so tell me what's next for your team now that you have this foundation in place.
The repair management side of our business has, enormously grown year on year. And I think, I need to dedicate more time, energy, and focus into continuing on that growth. But we're also in the early stages of developing an AI supply chain software, which ultimately, is going to look to integrate into people's ERPs. And Ambry Hill Technologies is going to be my first conversation with that. Now, the benefit, again, with Ambry Hill Technologies and this sort of business venture looking to launch is you guys are already open to integration of, external data feeds and sources. You guys are on the Zapier marketplace. So, for example, it's very elementary and simplistic, but right now I've got my Vista-Suite connected to my ChatGPT through Zapier. So I'm able to, use ChatGPT to sort of, talk back and forth to, recognize some data or transactions and things of that nature. So a tool which I'm looking to develop for, the parts and repairs marketplace, I think is naturally going to be sort of hand in hand with ERP providers.
Well, that sounds really awesome. And I mean, the final question here is, if another company asked whether they should consider Vista-Suite Enterprise, what would you tell them?
Yes. Don't think, just do. No. I would say just try it, just explore it. I personally believe that probably the majority of companies in our industry will have an immediate flag or fence, or what about our data? Our data's everything. I genuinely believe if they can understand the process of how their data would get migrated, once they've got over that hurdle, that mental block, once they realize how much time that they could save and how that their ERP is essentially self-sufficient and allowing, your team, your employees to focus on other things, I think that's just a huge overall benefit.
Thank you so much, Louis. I really appreciate your time today, covering all the points on why you think Vista-Suite Enterprise is the best solution for you guys there at Stratex. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. The pleasure is all mine. And I'm very, very happy to be a customer of Ambry Hill Technologies.